Hello students, welcome to Learner's Planet. In today's session, we are going to discuss about the basic problem that most of the students face. That is a question that is generally asked in your exams related to the comparison of alveoli and nephron. After looking these two terms, people just get confused. So initially, whenever answering such type of questions, that means two different parts are given to you and you have to compare it, right? You have to find out the differences as well as you should concentrate over the similarities, isn't it? So one such question is in your curriculum, in your syllabus, is the comparison of alveoli and the nephron, right? Now while answering it, first of all, it should be clear to you that where these particular structures are present, which particular system is it associated with, isn't it? So alveoli, it is actually concerned with the respiratory system. If you remember, whenever the terms are coming, just have a recall of the diagrams and you are easily able to answer such questions. So alveoli is a part of respiratory system and nephron is a part of the excretory system. Let us find out, just have a look over the diagram and then we can compare it quite easily. See, alveoli is a functional unit of respiratory system, whereas nephron is a functional unit of excretory system, right? So basically, if these diagrams are showing the structures here, this is the structure of the respiratory system, the part of respiratory system, of course. And if you remember that there is a trachea, which is a tubular structure present in the thoracic cavity, which is connecting the nasal cavity with the lungs, isn't it? And this particular trachea, it gets bifurcates and each branch is entering into the particular lung on its own side. Inside the lungs, the bronchi, they are getting divided into so many branches which are forming the bronchioles, and finally at the end, these terminal bronchioles or the bronchioles, they are forming the solen structures, sac-like structures over there, which are known as the alveoli. And therefore you can say that the millions of alveoli are present inside the lungs. So maximum area is covered inside. So how these, you can see that formation of such sac-like structures with a flexible membrane, millions of units are formed, and therefore the surface area inside the lungs has been increased. On the other hand, nephron, which is a part of excretory system, these are located inside the kidneys. Right. So inside the kidneys, so many or millions of nephrons are present over there, and the specialty of this nephron is that it is having the cup-shaped structure in the top, which is having a bunch of capillaries inside, that is known as the glomerulus. And of course, this particular cup-like structure is known as the Bowman's capsule. Right, and of course then it is giving rise to this tubular structure, which is coiled further and is giving rise to this branch known as the collecting duct. So you can compare here this alveoli and the nephron. The alveoli is simply a sac-like structure, is quite a simple in its nature or in its structure. Whereas if you look at the nephron, of course it is quite complicated as compared to the alveoli, isn't it? But the basic function of this is what? Alveoli and nephron. Alveoli is involved in the exchange of gases in the respiratory system through its membrane, right? Whereas nephron, it is helping in the filtration of blood. Thus it helps in the removal of waste from the body, isn't it? Now here, just think one thing. This exchange of gas, it is simply occurring through this membrane over there, or the surface of the alveoli, and it's not a very complicated process. But when the filtration process is concerned, there are so many things that has to be filtered out. and of course that each molecule or the water or whatever thing has to be filtered out. The size of that molecule is not it is not ideally, or it is not same, right? So over there, this structure is having the this thickness of the membrane, which varies from one part to the another, and this is how it is helping in the absorption of various material and then releasing out several others. So this is how the basic function is occurring here in the alveoli and in the nephron, and of course each system is equally important for the normal functioning of the body. Now basically, as we can say that each part is it is involved in the exchange of material. If it is nephron, there is an exchange of waste material and the water and some other elements. If it is alveoli, the exchange of gaseous molecules are taking place, isn't it? Now in the alveoli, as we are saying, it is the exchange of gases. The process involved for this should be what? It is going to be the diffusion, right? Whereas if it is nephron, the process that is involved for the exchange of material, it should be what? It is supposed to be osmosis if water is concerned, isn't it? Then it should be diffusion if it is some solid particles. Now since they are in the dissolved state, so the process that is following here is the absorption. So this is how the basic function is occurring. But whether it is diffusion or it is absorption of various materials, there should be basic characteristic features in the membrane or in the surface of each part, whether it is alveoli or it is nephron. So to make a better exchange of materials, what qualities, what characteristic features should be there in these particular these structures? So they are actually, number one, they should have a thin surface. The membrane should be partially thin so as to allow the exchange of material, so as to allow the passage of these specific molecules across this particular boundary. Number two, beside this thin surface, there should be a particular moisture. There should be a moist surface. So that moist surface should be maintained, and that is supported by the mucus or the secretory nature of these particular structures. After that, these structures they should be present in such a way that they are increasing the surface area. See, just look at the size of your body. How much oxygen you need to carry out your all of your activities, isn't it? A lot of oxygen is required, and of course this process should occur continuously. So there is the presence of millions of alveoli. So the specific feature should be that beside these features, they should have the large surface area, and that is possible by the increase in its number of units, and secondly, it is possible by the maximum folds over there. So in the case of respiratory system, the bronchioles are forming so many solen structures, and thus they are increasing the surface area as well as they are increasing the units over there. In the case of kidney, the nephrons are present in millions, isn't it? So they are, of course, and secondly, they are having coiled structures here, right? So this coiling is, of course, increasing the surface area over there. So this is how they are actually performing, they are able to perform their function. So further, beside this increased surface area, the another feature which is required for better exchange of material, better diffusion or the absorption of different material is that they should be richly supplied with the blood capillaries, or they should be richly supplied with the blood vessels. See, the absorption is one part. Further, this absorbed material, it should be transported well in the entire body, isn't it? So that transportation is possible only through the blood in case of human beings or in the higher organisms, right? So over here, they should be richly supplied with the blood capillaries, and that you must be knowing that whether it is alveoli or it is nephron, these units are richly supplied with the with the blood capillaries. You just remember another part where such type of features are observed in the human body. It is your small intestine. Even same features are present over there. We can say the similar features, as there should be the it is involved in the absorption of various materials, isn't it? So these are the similarities between such type of structures, alveoli and the nephron. Beside that, now let us concentrate that what is the difference between these two units, that is alveoli and the nephron. So let us find it out. So the alveoli, if we compare these alveoli with nephron, then you will find out that the alveoli is spherical in nature. It is a round body, and of course is present in many in number, or we can say in the numbers are in millions, right? So first difference is that the unit or the alveoli is spherical, whereas nephron is not spherical. Rather, it is a tubular structure. Now, of course, this tubular structure in the top or in the proximal region or in the top anterior most region, they are actually having a cup-shaped structure, which is further, it is forming the tubular part later. Beside that, they are coiled in nature. This alveoli, the spherical part, the spherical surface is smooth over there. Right, whereas in the nephron, this tubular part, it is not smooth. Rather, it is highly coiled over there. Or we can say it is partially coiled. Why we are saying it is partially coiled? Because say in the several regions the coiling is quite high, and further in some region it is not so much high over, coiling is not so much over there. So therefore we can say it is partially coiled. Right, and of course this coiling is increasing the surface area over there. So alveoli and nephron, they both are increasing the surface area in their respective places or in the respective organs. So where actually these organs are present? When you are answering the question, of course you can add this particular point over there. How? See, the alveoli, the alveoli, it is increasing the surface area in the lungs. For what purpose? For the process of the respiration. Respiration, that means it is related to the exchange of gases. Right. Beside that, the nephron. The nephron is increasing the surface area in the kidney. And over there, for what purpose? It is for the excretion of waste. Now, if you have to add an extra point while answering in your exam, you can simply add point here that alveoli, it is involved in the exchange of gaseous molecules, whereas nephron is involved in the exchange of liquid water as well as certain other solid particles. So this is another difference between the alveoli and the nephron. Further, beside this, alveoli, the membrane, the outer membrane is thin and of course it is uniform. That means the thickness all over the surface is same. Right, but in the case of the nephron, membrane is of course thin, but this thickness, that thinness, it is not uniform all over its structure. Rather, the thickness varies from one region to the another depending upon the exchange of material that is going to occur in that particular part. Further, the next thing is alveoli is a functional unit of respiratory system or lungs. Both answers are correct. The functional unit of lung is alveoli. Functional unit of respiratory system is also the alveoli. Is it clear? Then the further thing is nephron. As compared to alveoli, nephron is the functional unit of the kidneys or the excretory system. Besides this, the alveoli, they are the air sac. That means they are enclosing the air cavity inside. Right? And of course, when the air sac is there and the cavity or space is present, then it will allow the filling of the air inside. And when it is filled up with the air, it is going to help in the exchange of the gases. Whereas, nephrons are considered as the filters, as they are helping in the purification of the blood. So these are the basic points that you can add when the such type of questions are being asked in your exams. Further, in the next session, we will discuss some other interesting point or some basic problems that you may face while answering in your examinations. So, thank you so much. We'll meet you soon in the next session. Goodbye.